Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dalal. Today we are talking about another banking disaster which has been handled well by the Reserve Bank of India. In fact, this is the third major bank failure under Governor Shaktikanta Das's regime. All of them have been legacy issues which he's had to handle, and I think with each one of them there's been a substantial improvement in how it is handled. From my perspective, I think the RBI has done extremely well in how it has handled Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So here's what happened. On 17th November, which is Tuesday, the RBI suddenly announced that Lakshmi Vilas Bank, LVB I'm going to call it, has been placed under a moratorium until 16th of December. It's a short moratorium, and 25,000 can be withdrawn by investors, so there was absolutely no reason to panic. There was another 5 lakhs that people could withdraw if they had emergencies, hospitalization and other things. Simultaneously, the RBI also announced that there's going to be an amalgamation. A scheme is announced. In fact, the scheme ends today, as in people were allowed to give comments until today, 20th November. But the scheme said that there's going to be an amalgamation of assets and liabilities of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with DBS India Limited, which is the 100% subsidiary of a very well pedigreed Singapore-based branch called DBS. DBS India is registered in India, and RBI has invited it to take over Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So a lot of people think, why only DBS? Should it have called more suitors? So here's what I think. Yes, it is true that RBI did not invite other suitors to Lakshmi's Swayamvar. But then remember, for years, and I think it's more than 5 years, that RBI has been watching LVB flirt with a whole lot of other suitors, try to bring in capital. Nothing has worked, or it hasn't found suitable suitors, right? So RBI then has gone and arranged a shotgun marriage, and in fact found someone good and stable. So DBS India is going to bring in 2,500 crore. Even after that amount is brought, it is going to take care of the bank with decent capital adequacy. Is this good for shareholders? No. Is it good for depositors? Absolutely. The mantra of banking and banking supervision is that depositors' interest has to come first. That is the key. And with this as the touchstone, I think what RBI has done is perfectly right, while equity is in fact risk capital. So let's look at what it means and what the only objection over here is. The objection is that in this amalgamation and merger of assets and liabilities, existing shareholders have had their equity written down to zero, so they lose all the money. Now they're going to court, they're ready to file cases. There are over 97,000 of them. It accounts for 46% of equity, but remember, this may be a misleading figure. So I'm going to go over a few details about what this merger is about and what happens to depositors. The banking industry runs on the money of depositors. If we as depositors trust the bank, put our money there, then it can be lent on. So the very basis of the business is our trust as depositors. That has been protected in this case. Shareholders are taking a risk. Equity is risk capital. It offers high returns. Now, if anyone as a shareholder had been watching Lakshmi Vilas Bank for the last 5 years, they would know that there was plenty to worry about. Were they worried? Apparently not. Now, why were they not worried? Because they were taking a speculative bet that RBI will find someone, there will be the usual takeover, their interest will be protected. If the acquiring bank is very good, the share price would go up and they stand to make money. Nobody expected that it will be written down to zero and they have lost money. Well, that's a gamble that you take in equity markets. There are large shareholders who have lost money, who were hoping to take over the bank. They are NBFCs. I'm going to come to that a little later. They're going to lose significantly. There were original shareholders of the bank who probably had significant holdings. They had lots of shareholders even as their fronts. And why is it that I'm less sympathetic to them? I think I need to explain this step by step. Now let's come to LVB's past. We wrote an article in Money Life by Mr. T.R. Bhatt, who's a retired banker and a very thoughtful trade union leader, who pointed out that in the last decade, in the last 10 years, there have been 5 CEOs at LVB. None of them last their full term except one, which is Mr. Mukherjee. Each one of them had to leave in a big hurry. Now, what does this show? It clearly shows that there was constant interference from some shareholders in the running of the bank. What did the others do? They watched. What did the RBI do? Also gave a long rope. There was some controversy even about whether RBI was clearing the chairman's appointment or not, but RBI did nothing. It watched. Then the shareholders began to get other people interested because they constantly needed to shore up their capital adequacy under capital adequacy norms because performance was degenerating. So LVB made a huge loss in 2019 and 2020. Capital adequacy, in fact, dropped from 10.38% in 2017 to as low as 1.12% in 2020. This is what Mr. Bhatt has written in Money Life. You can look at our articles over there. RBI also decided to put it under prompt corrective action on 28th September 2019. All these are red flags, right, for somebody who's a long-term investor looking for value investment. Little afterwards, RBI said that it finds the merger proposal with Indiabulls Group unacceptable. So that went out of the window. After that, the promoters began to look for other suitors. Just until 2 months ago, the bank was in talks with Clicks Capital, which is promoted, among others, by Mr. Pramod Bhasin, who headed G Capital. 85% of Clicks Capital is held by AION Capital Partners. And this deal was almost happening when there was an AGM on 25th of September. On that AGM, something quite incredible happened. Now look at the structure of this bank. There are 3 or 4 large investors. Indiabulls Group, because it was planning to take over the bank, had made a proposal to the RBI which got rejected, has about 5%. There is something called Capri Global, shadow bank, which has 5%, and Srei International, which has a big chunk. And then there are the original promoters who had a big stake, who decided who the CEO and MD is, and they have been controlling and some say interfering with the working of the bank. This is the structure, and then there are some small investors. Now on 25th of September at the AGM, there was a coup of sorts because 7 directors were voted out. It was a stunning surprise. There were 8 crore votes polled to take them out. There were 5 crores in support of them, which seemed to suggest a concerted action by some really large shareholders acting in concert. Others, the retail investors, had no clue. The management had no clue. Among the people who were thrown out was the CEO and MD, was a statutory auditor. That appointment resolution was also thrown out. This is cleared by the RBI. Remember, the managing director is cleared by the RBI, and the board had an independent director who was a former CGM of the RBI. Ruthlessly, all 7 were out. This is the first time probably in banking history this has happened. It has happened when the bank was under RBI's close scrutiny under prompt corrective action. Now, whoever engineered this coup probably didn't realize that there would be a price to pay. Because depositors' interest comes first, the RBI has extraordinary powers to protect them, to approve of people who run the management, and things cannot happen at the will of people who hold shares, unlike directly under the Companies Act. There are overriding powers under the Banking Regulation Act. Now, if these people thought that there would be no repercussions, I think they made a big mistake. So what happens? RBI kept quiet at that time, but obviously it was working behind the scenes. It got in DBS India to take over the bank. DBS is bringing substantial capital. Now one can debate whether 2,500 crore is a lot or not, because DBS gets something fantastic. It gets over 563 branches in 15 states. That means from the 27 it has today, overnight it is a big bank with a huge banking presence. But it's a good bank. India is short of good banks and competition in private sector. We need it, and from that perspective, it's a good thing that we have another good bank coming in. Now, what would you do if you were an investor coming in and you have watched all this legacy, the audacity of somebody doing a coup at an AGM less than 2 months ago and throwing out 7 directors approved by the RBI? You would want to start on a clean slate, and I think that's exactly what the RBI wants. Either because if you had done something like doing a merger, writing down their equity, they would still be substantial holders who would be snapping and creating problems for the new acquirer. The new acquirer has to take off smoothly, has to stabilize the bank, has to deal with legacy issues, and you don't want someone snapping at your heels all the time and creating mischief. So I think the RBI has done well. It's an important message that it has allowed this takeover with an absolutely clean slate. It's another really important message that the RBI sent. For a long time, since 2008, the RBI has wanted foreign banks to be registered in India with a proper wholly owned Indian subsidiary, because then it would be fully under RBI rules and has to do what RBI insists in India. So there was no upside to following RBI's wishes and diktat. This is the first time the RBI has indicated that there will be benefits to being registered in India, because even if you're a foreign bank, you will be considered eligible in case there are future opportunities to take over Indian banks, shadow banks and others. I think that's also an important message, because if you cannot have public sector banks forever taking private losses, private mess, private dubious deals by nationalizing them and having them taken over by a public sector bank, because ultimately we the taxpayers pay the price. So that is another important message with a clearly seen path and benefit. You register in India, subject yourself to RBI regulation, and you can get to expand your footprint in India. India is a growing market, Indian banking is a growing market, and this is going to be a plus. So now let's look at what has happened under Mr. Das's regime. So we had, like I said, 3 cases. One, the first, which happened very soon after he came in, was Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank. Yes, in the cooperative sector, where there are over 1,000 banks, one fails every month, difficult to handle, but ignoring this good bank, which was completely cheated and ruined by one group, HDIL and the Vadavans, and leaving it as a festering sore when it had 125 branches, core banking, absolutely fantastic and impeccable service, open for over 360 days. I think it was a sad miss for the RBI. Didn't act fast enough. It's over a year, it's still open, and I'm hoping that with Mr. Das having said that he's going to handle it, 205 crores of RBI employees and officers' money through a credit society has been invested in PMC Bank. So there is a vested interest there to do something about it. We hope that, with this new direction in LVB, something's going to happen. The next was a big improvement on PMC, which was Yes Bank, where they didn't dump it on a public sector bank, but yes, SBI has been left holding the baby for all practical purposes, but it was a public-private bailout. A whole bunch of private banks have chipped in because they said, okay, we also have to pay a price for private failure, which is a good signal again, a different signal. But somebody very pompously in the RBI at that time rejected a bunch of very marquee foreign investors who wanted to invest. That was a bad miss. The manner in which 81 bondholders who had been missold the bonds, told that they were safe as deposits, people who had them through mutual funds, they were let down. I think that was really bad handling of Yes Bank. But overall, a big improvement on PMC. LVB is an even bigger improvement on what happened with Yes Bank. Things are improving, and I think we're headed for a safer way and a more practical way of handling bank failures. Bank failures are bound to happen. We need better supervision. Ideally, we should have more accountability, but when failure happens, we should also handle it well, and I think we're getting there. Thank you.